All right, let's talk about Zion Williamson, a name that once upon a time felt destined to shake the foundation of the NBA. And now, here we are, with ESPN throwing gasoline on a fire that's already been smoldering for a while. According to recent projections, Zion tops the list of players most likely to request a trade this upcoming season. Not Giannis, not LeBron, not even John Morant, but Zion. And honestly, are we really that surprised? From the moment Zion touched down in New Orleans, there's been this underlying tension, a sense that his stay with the Pelicans might be temporary. He's flirted with the idea of playing in a bigger market, and there have been persistent whispers about his desire to wear a Knicks jersey. Whether it was during draft night or every time he visited Madison Square Garden, it always felt like Zion had his eyes on something larger, more electric than the small market reality of New Orleans. Let's be real here. Does anyone genuinely believe he's going to retire a Pelican? Of course not. And that's no shade to New Orleans. It's just the reality of Zion's situation. We're talking about a generational talent who, when he's actually healthy and locked in, looks like one of the 5 most dominant players on the planet. No exaggeration. I'll never forget watching him during that one game against the Lakers, right before the play-in. He turned into an absolute monster. Every time down the floor, he demanded the ball and bulldozed through the defense like it was nothing. He had a stretch where he scored over a dozen straight points, and it looked like he had officially activated that unstoppable mode. It was terrifying in the best way. He looked like a guy that could single-handedly swing the momentum of a playoff run. And then, boom, he got hurt again. That's always been the story with Zion. Just when he's about to take off, injuries pull him right back down. And it's frustrating, man, because we've seen the flashes. Last season, he still put up nearly 25 points per game, grabbed 7 boards, dished out 5 assists, and shot nearly 60% from the field. Those are numbers that scream superstar. He's this rare combination of brute force and elite agility. There's nobody in the league that checks all the boxes like he does physically. If someone can match him in size, they usually don't have his speed or bounce. If they've got the speed, they definitely don't have the frame to bang with him down low. Zion is like a prototype built in a lab that somehow made it into the NBA. But of course, this channel is all about the Lakers, right? So let's bring it home. The big question is, should the Lakers trade for Zion Williamson? And man, that is a fascinating conversation to have. Now look, everything depends on the price. Because Zion isn't just some lottery ticket. He's already a proven high-level player when he's on the court. But he also comes with real concerns: health, conditioning, long-term durability. The Pelicans signed him to a massive extension. We're talking around $40 million per year on average. But here's the kicker. A lot of that money is non-guaranteed. Each season, the deal becomes fully guaranteed only if certain conditions are met. That means if a team like the Lakers decides to take a swing on Zion and it doesn't work out, they can get out without being financially handcuffed for years. That's a pretty important safety net in this kind of deal. From a business perspective, it's actually one of the most flexible supermax style deals we've seen. You're not stuck. Worst case scenario, you treat the contract like a $40 million expiring. And in today's NBA, where cap space and flexibility can open doors to massive moves, that kind of structure gives you leverage. Even if Zion flops, you're not tied to him forever. So let's just imagine this. Let's say LeBron James finally walks away, maybe heads to another team, or just retires. You've got this massive LeBron-sized hole in the lineup and in the Lakers brand. You plug in a 25-year-old Zion Williamson, a guy who, with the right support system, could absolutely blossom into the face of the league. Pair him with someone like Luka Doncic, and suddenly the Lakers have another young core with sky-high potential. The pick-and-roll possibilities are endless. Imagine Luka throwing lobs to Zion, who's cutting down the baseline like a freight train. That is must-watch television. Now, of course, the dream targets for the Lakers, if we're being honest, are guys like Giannis Antetokounmpo or Nikola Jokic. But Giannis leaving Milwaukee? That still feels like a long shot. Unless he explicitly demands a move to Los Angeles, it's hard to see the Bucks letting him go. Jokic? Well, we all know he's a different kind of dude. He's not attached to Denver the way other stars are to their cities. He's the kind of guy who clocks in, dominates, and then flies back to Serbia to be with his horses. If he ever asked for a trade, the Lakers would be foolish not to be first in line. But if both of those guys are off the table and Zion is sitting there, available, 25 years old with multiple All-Star seasons under his belt, that's a pretty compelling fallback option, especially if the cost isn't some insane haul. That's where the trade talks get really interesting. Let's talk price. If the Pelicans ask for a package similar to what Milwaukee gave up for Dame, or what teams would offer for Giannis, I'm out. No way. Zion is still too risky to bet the entire farm on. But if we're talking something more reasonable, let's say Austin Reeves and 2 first-round picks. Now that's a deal you have to think hard about. Reeves is a nice player, a fan favorite, but let's not pretend he's untouchable. If the difference between staying mediocre and becoming a true contender is swapping Reeves and picks for a shot at Zion, you absolutely take that gamble. Especially when you remember that Reeves could be looking for $30+ million a year soon. Would you rather pay that for a solid rotation guy or roll the dice on Zion's ceiling? A ceiling that, again, might just be top 5 in the entire league. And let's not forget, Zion is no slouch defensively either. When he's locked in, he can protect the rim, disrupt passing lanes, and physically bully guys inside. His body, his strength, his instincts, all of it points toward a player who could anchor your team on both ends of the floor. And next to a guy like Luka, who controls the offense so masterfully, Zion could thrive just by being himself. Finishing plays, dominating the paint, being the interior force the Lakers desperately need. Now, yes, we all have the same concern. Health. That's the red flag that never really goes away with Zion. Last season, he played just 30 games. The season before that, he missed the entire year. He did have 1 year where he played 70 games, which gives you hope. But even being realistic, if he could just give you 65 games a year, stay relatively healthy, and show up for the playoffs, that would already make him a game changer. Imagine what he could do in a more stable environment, with a true floor general like Luka feeding him easy looks. That duo could tear through the Western Conference for the next decade. Or, and here's the flip side, it could all fall apart. It could be another case of wasted potential, unfulfilled promise, and more injuries. That's the gamble. But sometimes, the biggest rewards come from the riskiest bets. And right now, the Lakers are in a position where they have to start thinking about the future. LeBron is on his way out. Anthony Davis is still elite, but not getting any younger. They've got a small window to retool without blowing everything up. And a swing at Zion might be the perfect bridge into the next era of Laker basketball. But here's where things start to get really complicated. Because while the idea of pairing Zion Williamson with Luka Doncic in a Lakers jersey sounds like something straight out of a basketball fantasy, the actual logistics of pulling off a move like this are layered with risk, politics, and uncertainty. It's not just about whether Zion wants out of New Orleans or whether the Lakers want to make a splash. It's about timing, leverage, and value. What is Zion's true trade value at this moment? How much are teams really willing to give up for a guy who has yet to play even 50 games in a single season since being drafted number 1 overall? That's the paradox with Zion. He's both one of the league's most tantalizing players and one of its biggest question marks. On one hand, you've got a guy who, at his peak, is a walking mismatch. There are maybe 2 or 3 players in the entire NBA who can even attempt to guard him one-on-one, and even they struggle to keep him out of the paint. His efficiency around the rim is off the charts. His body control, his finishing ability, his touch for such a big guy, it's elite. You give him a running start, and it's basically over. Defenders bounce off him like kids trying to tackle a brick wall. But then you flip the coin, and you're reminded that this same guy has only played in roughly a third of his possible games since entering the league. That is a brutal number for any franchise to try to stomach, especially when talking about a potential franchise cornerstone. Now, let's say the Lakers front office decides to go all in. Let's say Rob Pelinka and company see the upside, the contract flexibility, and the chance to grab a young star just entering his prime. What kind of package would it take to make that happen? You'd have to think Austin Reeves would be the centerpiece. As much as fans love him, and rightfully so, he's the kind of player you include in a trade for someone like Zion. He's affordable, young, improving every year, and has shown he can contribute in big games. Pair him with 1 or 2 first-round picks, maybe even throw in some pick swaps, and you might be looking at a deal New Orleans could at least think about. Because, let's be honest, the Pelicans aren't exactly operating from a position of strength. If the rumors are true and Zion wants out, and if the team knows deep down that they're not going to build a championship roster around him anytime soon, they might just decide it's better to move on now, while there's still some shine on him, especially before another injury comes and knocks his value down even further. Teams don't like being caught holding the bag, and New Orleans has already had a front-row seat to a similar situation with Anthony Davis. They know how quickly a situation can unravel when a star decides he's done. And that's the other side of this story that we need to consider. Zion may not be the type of player to come out and demand a trade publicly. At least not yet, but all the signs are there. The subtle tension between him and the organization, the lack of long-term chemistry with his teammates, the recurring injuries, the whispers about his work ethic and commitment, and, of course, the ongoing speculation about his desire to play in a bigger market. It all adds up to one thing: a player who, for all his talent, might just need a fresh start. The Lakers, meanwhile, are always in the business of stars. That's their model. They don't tank. They don't rebuild for 5 years hoping to draft a generational player. They reload, they attract stars, and they contend. It's worked for decades. From Magic to Shaq to Kobe to LeBron, the blueprint hasn't changed. Zion could be the next chapter in that story. A young, explosive player who brings energy, star power, and a chance to build the next great Laker dynasty. But that's only if everything clicks. Because let's be clear, if the Lakers trade away valuable assets and Zion can't stay healthy, it could be a disaster. They'd lose flexibility. They'd lose picks. They'd potentially lose out on other opportunities down the line. But at the same time, what's the alternative? Sit back and hope LeBron gives you one more good season while the rest of the West keeps getting better? Wait for some perfect scenario where a top 5 player magically becomes available with no strings attached? That's not how the league works anymore. If you want to compete, you've got to be proactive. And Zion, for all his flaws, is still a player worth gambling on. His numbers last season don't lie. In just under 29 minutes per game, he still managed to average 25 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and a steal. He shot nearly 57% from the field. These aren't fluke stats. These are all NBA-level stats. You don't stumble into that kind of production without serious talent. And if you believe, even a little, that his health issues can be managed, then that makes him one of the most intriguing trade targets in the league. Let's talk about what it would mean to have him in Los Angeles. Imagine the branding, the highlight reels, the jersey sales, the nightly SportsCenter top plays. Zion wearing purple and gold, throwing down dunks in front of celebrities courtside. That's a spectacle. That's Hollywood basketball at its finest. And more than just the image, he'd be in a structured environment, surrounded by professionals who know how to manage stars. The Lakers don't always get it right, but when they do, they usually do it better than anyone. Before we continue, we ask that you leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Lakers updates. Moving on, whispers have begun to swirl around the basketball world as the towering presence of Kai SOTTO, the Filipino giant standing at an imposing 2.21 meters, reportedly touched down in Los Angeles, sparking fervent excitement among fans and analysts alike. The murmurs are growing louder that SOTTO has inked a deal with the Los Angeles Lakers, a team historically known for valuing size, skill, and presence in the paint, and now perhaps seeing in him a beacon of hope for their rebounding woes. Social media timelines are buzzing with speculation, discussions, and highlight reels of his previous performances, where his height and timing made him a natural force under the rim, turning potential misses into game-changing rebounds. Industry insiders suggest that the Lakers' front office has been meticulously monitoring his development, tracking his overseas performances, and envisioning him as a long-term project with immediate upside in practice sessions and eventual minutes on the court. Rumors point to strategic discussions within the team, possibly considering SOTTO as the missing puzzle piece in their rotation, someone who could stretch defenses, alter shots, and establish a dominant presence in the paint. Fans are imagining scenarios where his length challenges seasoned NBA centers, while commentators debate how quickly he could adjust to the speed, physicality, and mental demands of the league, suggesting that his arrival could mark a significant shift in team dynamics, particularly in rebounding strategies and defensive coverage. The buzz around SOTTO's landing in Los Angeles extends beyond mere contractual speculation, delving into the potential ripple effects his presence might generate within the Lakers' locker room and roster construction. Analysts are hypothesizing that his addition could encourage other players to elevate their interior play, potentially opening up perimeter opportunities for shooters and slashers, as opposing defenses are forced to respect his shot blocking and positioning. There are murmurs that coaching staff are quietly planning tailored training regimens to accelerate his adaptation, blending fundamental drills with advanced analytics to harness his wingspan, timing, and mobility, transforming raw height into functional dominance. Fans have begun crafting narratives, imagining late-game scenarios where SOTTO secures crucial rebounds against elite competition, tipping the balance in favor of a Lakers comeback or sealing victories through sheer presence. Reports hint at behind-the-scenes negotiations over roster flexibility, minutes allocation, and potential mentorship opportunities from veteran big men who could ease SOTTO's transition to the NBA, instilling both tactical knowledge and professional habits necessary to survive in a league known for rapid adjustments and relentless competition. Social media chatter portrays him as a potential game-changer, a symbol of hope, and perhaps a harbinger of a new era for a Lakers franchise hungry for interior dominance, sparking dreams of championship aspirations rekindled by his towering arrival and the promise of rebounding supremacy. Speculation intensifies as sources suggest that SOTTO's arrival in Los Angeles is not merely a transactional event, but a calculated statement of intent by the Lakers to invest in size, youth, and international talent, signaling a broader strategic shift in how the team approaches the NBA landscape. Basketball insiders are whispering about potential training camp scenarios where SOTTO might immediately demonstrate his rebounding instincts, timing, and agility against seasoned professionals, capturing attention with the same natural dominance that made him a standout in international circuits. Enthusiasts are imagining him matching up against some of the league's most formidable centers, leveraging his height advantage and wingspan to challenge shots, secure boards, and disrupt offensive flow, while sports journalists speculate on the adaptation curve required for him to handle the league's speed, physicality, and complex defensive schemes. Rumors also hint at SOTTO's influence extending to marketing and fan engagement, with promotional campaigns likely celebrating his arrival as a fresh symbol of hope, energizing both local fan bases and a global audience. Analysts debate his potential ceiling, hypothesizing that with the right development, SOTTO could evolve into a cornerstone player who impacts both ends of the floor, contributing to a revamped Lakers identity, emphasizing interior strength, defensive versatility, and rebounding supremacy. This surge of speculation frames his presence as both a tactical advantage and a symbolic gesture, reflecting a renewed commitment by the franchise to reshape their future through strategic acquisitions and high-upside talent. Excitement has reached a fever pitch as rumors suggest that SOTTO's integration into the Lakers roster could create a cascade of strategic adjustments, prompting veteran players and coaching staff to rethink offensive sets, defensive rotations, and rebounding schemes to accommodate a player of his stature and potential impact. Observers speculate that his presence under the rim may force opponents to alter shot selection, adjust offensive spacing, and reconsider post-entry strategies, effectively shifting the way games are contested in matchups involving the Lakers. The media chatter paints vivid scenes of SOTTO establishing himself as a pivotal figure in late-game possessions, converting contested boards into scoring opportunities, and providing a sense of defensive reassurance that could alter the psychological dynamics on both sides of the court. Rumors also suggest that the Lakers may be considering pairing SOTTO with agile forwards to exploit pick-and-roll scenarios, stretching defenses and creating mismatches that could translate into tangible advantages over opponents. Meanwhile, basketball forums and podcasts are ablaze with speculative analysis, drawing comparisons between SOTTO and historical NBA big men, debating his potential trajectory, and imagining how his rebounding prowess might translate into double-digit contributions per game. The anticipation surrounding his debut has created a palpable sense of suspense, blending optimism, curiosity, and cautious expectation as fans eagerly await confirmation of his immediate role, projected minutes, and the tangible impact his physical attributes could have on a franchise long seeking dominance in the paint and control over rebounding battles. Adding to the intrigue, rumors indicate that SOTTO's arrival could influence trade talks, draft considerations, and long-term roster planning as the Lakers potentially position themselves to capitalize on his unique physical profile while balancing team chemistry and developmental timelines. Analysts speculate that his ability to stretch defenses, secure boards, and contest shots may relieve pressure on other frontcourt players, allowing the team to redistribute responsibilities and experiment with rotational strategies previously constrained by personnel limitations. Stay informed exclusively about Los Angeles Lakers news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep receiving daily updates. Also, share your opinion on the news in the comments, as your contribution is crucial for the Lakers. Stay tuned for the next video.